So yeah, I mean, like this, by the way, is no prescription for everyone. This video is solely for research and entertainment purposes only. At the start of the video, watch at your own caution, okay? Don't try it before you try anything. Please get it run through your endocrinologist, get it run through your physician. I mean, you get the point, right? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my YouTube channel or the WNR Body Transformation Podcast. How are you going to be listening to this? I've got a big announcement to make with regards to my journey, but before we just get started, I just want to clean my spectacles because it's actually quite dirty. So, actually look much more better without spectacles. That's what I'd like to think and my mum would like to think. Like mum thinks that I'm the most handsome man, but it's debatable. Quite the opposite. But anyways, enough of self-depreciating humor. Let's probably get started, After a decade of training naturally, tracking every calorie that I eat, every macronutrient that I consume, like your proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, sleeping like clockwork, sacrificing a lot, like not going out for parties and all of that. And, like just living like a degenerate for something like 10 to 20% of the year. So out of something like 12 months, a month and a half every year, I live like a bit of a degenerate, which is go out, I used to travel, I used to smoke weed, I used to drink a lot, Sorry, I'm just going to sip on ginger tea unapologetically because it tastes really, really good. So yeah, after a decade of doing literally everything right, I have decided to hop on testosterone replacement therapy. Now, this decision was in the making for years, right? Years, because, I considered this so many times basically, but I was like, ooh, I'm never ever gonna hop on it basically because I want to probably stay natural. But this photo shoot prep that I've done, right? I started out off in January. Officially started off in February because January I was in Thailand, and in Thailand I was smoking a lot of weed, I was eating a lot of shit, and then from there I went to the Philippines, and in the Philippines I was not smoking a lot of weed, but I was maybe having like a drink or two here and there almost every other day, which is not good, right? But when I came back, I was like, all right, let's fucking go all in. And I went into this photo shoot bodybuilding prep, as a result of which I did it naturally for the first 4 to 5 months. Everything was good. I felt healthy because there was a lot of body fat to pull off. For the listeners out there, most of the people are fatter than they think, right? Including me when I first started my prep. So, yeah, then GLP-1s hit the market, and I've got like a really, really good coach. Shout out to Matt from Physique Collective, who's my coach, right? One of the best investments that I've made till date. And for me as a client, I don't really have motivation as a bit of a problem. I'm like, just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it, because all year round, I'm just like literally taking care of my clients' programs, right? But when it comes to my own health and fitness, I tend to neglect it because, yeah, I just don't have the ability to look at myself like a third person. So, yeah, investing in Matt was one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my entire life. And yeah, I might probably pay him a significant amount per month, but he saved me a lot of time, he saved me a lot of energy, effort, and has helped me do things in a much more healthier way, So, he doesn't stop me from doing anything. He doesn't push me to do anything, lets me know the ins and the outs, and accordingly I decide. So working with Matt made me appreciate and love bodybuilding and even the discipline aspect a little bit more in a way that I can't really imagine. So it started off like this. All right, first 6 months I was already taking metformin, which is an over-the-counter supplement, which is more of like a glucose disposing agent, which shuttles the carbohydrates inside the muscle cells, because it's given to those individuals who are type 2 diabetics because they're insulin resistant, right? Their cells are not responsive to the function of insulin, or maybe they don't produce that much insulin. No, that's type 1 diabetics. Sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. I'm enjoying my cup of tea. This video is going to be unscripted. I'm just going to be extremely unapologetic, alright? So, then I started reading about, like, okay, what if I start off with, like, at the same time I started listening to, not at the same time, but for years I was listening to Derek from More Plates, More Dates. From there, I moved on to Leon Longevity, rest in peace, who was extremely intelligent. And then from there, like when I started getting deeper into bodybuilding, I started listening to Steve from Vigorous Steve. His real name is Stefan, right? Steve from Vigorous Steve. I'm a huge fan of Vigorous Steve. And he talks extensively about the pharmacology aspect of bodybuilding. So, yeah, sorry for the zoom. So, yeah, now that I zoomed out, everything is better. Apologies for that. I didn't know that it was zoomed in. So, then I started looking to injectable L-carnitine, right, as a fat loss agent. And I was also on the Physique Collective app along with my coach from Physique Collective, Matt. Shout out to Matt once again. And then I asked him, like, what do you think about injectable L-carnitine? Well, he's like, it promotes fat loss. And I was already quite lean, so I started taking injectable L-carnitine. And before you'll freak out and think, ooh, it's injectable, right? If you take the oral form of L-carnitine, I made a separate video about it. Look at the deep dive in the link below. If you take the oral form of L-carnitine, the bioavailability, which is how much is actually being readily available for use for the purpose of fat loss, is going to be something like less than 10%, which is what, fucking peanuts, right? What L-carnitine does is basically it shuttles the fat inside the molecule. It facilitates the shuttling of the fat cells inside the mitochondria of the cell, so that the mitochondria can actually use it for fuel. It promotes cognitive function. It upregulates your androgen receptors, and all of that nice stuff. I mean, there are too many health benefits, and there's absolutely no downsides unless and until you take it like an idiot in an oral dose instead of an injectable dose at like 2,000 milligrams per day, which is a topic for another day, which I've already covered in a video. So I started off with that, and actually enjoyed the process of injecting myself. Weirdly, like, wow, you know. Early morning, I wake up, I take my injectable L-carnitine, have like my monster drink after I do my, like, after I take my health supplements like Shilajit, Ashwagandha, and royal jelly, creatine, electrolytes in the morning. Started doing like daily fasted cardio, like actually enjoyed it, and actually saw a slight bit of more fat loss because my work ethic was already there. I was meticulously tracking everything around training. So yeah, and if you've been following me for a while, I'm very meticulous, I'm very disciplined. I don't take shortcuts. I like to accumulate a firm base of discipline, meticulousness, tediousness, doing the same old boring work every fucking day, right? But at the same time, I was training in the most hardcore gyms in Dubai. Well, sadly, right now I train in 24 Fitness, which is more of like a corporate-based fitness gym because I've got a client over there, so it's pointless to pay for two gyms. But I was training in the Dungeon Gym, and I was surrounded with bodybuilders all the damn time, all the bloody time, who were on the enhanced side of things, who just spoke about training, nutrition, pharmacology, and at the same time I was listening to Vigorous Steve, I was watching my coach. I started getting fascinated by the pharmacology aspect of it. I started learning more about it, not because I intended to take it around that time, but I was like, it's good to have knowledge on how to read blood work, blah, 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 the health aspect of things. And I noticed this trend, like a lot of bodybuilders, right? This is particularly pertinent in the UAE, right? A lot of bodybuilders here, they don't track their training, they don't track their nutrition, they don't track their supplementation, they don't track their nutrients, they don't even track their sleep, they don't even track their caffeine intake. They just do anything inside the gym and they straight up hop on the juice. I mean, if you're as meticulous as, I'm not judging for people for taking, but I'm like, if you are as meticulous as you're supposed to be, you can get the gains that you are seeking for in fraction of the amount, basically, right? So I started listening to Alex Kiekel, Vigor Steve, my coach. I started doing my reading. But before that, I'm just going to have a cup of tea. I'm just going to have a sip from my ginger tea. That's beautiful. But anyways, yeah, so I started listening to all of these and I was like, what if I don't take androgens? What are androgens? Androgens are basically like your sex hormones, your steroid hormones, like your testosterone, your dihydrotestosterone, your estrogen, right? What if I don't take androgens, but if I take the basic health over-the-counter supplements like tadalafil, which is a form of Viagra, right? Given to people whose dicks can't stand, but in low doses, it's shown to have an increment in endurance, increment of fat loss, and longevity aspect of it is associated with that as well. What if I take metformin? What if I run naked feet every day in the grass during my daily fasted cardio? What if I walk in the sun? What if I expose myself to red light? Like, as you can probably see, there's red light in the background. Like, and yeah, like if those bodybuilders did the stuff that I do, they might need to take half of the fraction basically. So yeah, then after injectable L-carnitine, the diet started getting harder and harder and harder, but my mindset was much more in check. And GLP-1s hit the market, right? Well, GLP-1s have been around for a long time, but they actually started getting popularized around 2019. Semaglutide, which is sold popularly under the brand name Ozempic by big pharma companies, right? I mean, that was one that's got a slight that's got a massive hunger suppressing effect. But Mounjaro, which is tirzepatide, has got an even more potent hunger suppressing effect, but slightly lesser side effects compared to semaglutide. And retatrutide, which has not been approved by the FDA. So I tried it for research and educational purposes only, and I was like, whoa, I mean, this has reduced the food noise on a diet, and the diet was a breeze. So yeah, and I started seeing like fat loss because the work ethic was already there, so I had to take like less than the recommended dosage at the lowest possible level, which was mentioned in the research trials, which was something like 2 milligrams. I started off with 0.75 milligrams, broken down into daily administrations, and I got like reduction of food noise at the back of my head, but the hunger was still there. I could still eat. But I'm like, you know what, that's fine. But I was like, let me just try it out to push it up to 1 milligram. That's when I felt it. Like, I just couldn't eat. It suddenly kicked in. I'm like, whoa. Right? But eventually the side effects wore off and the diet was a breeze. And now we adapted to the dose. So now I've increased it up to something like 1.5 milligrams. But this is something like 6 to 7 weeks ago. So now the efficacy of the peptide has reduced and that I store it safely. So even though I'm like at 1.5 to 1.6 milligrams, I don't know the exact dose because it's like I take it in the form of an insulin syringe. I calculated the efficacy of the dose reduces by 30% the longer you store it inside the fridge. Anything more than 4 weeks, the efficacy reduces. So as per the research, it shows the efficacy of peptides reduced by something like 30%, but that might be the case, that might not be the case. But calculating that, even though I might be at 1.5 to 1.6 milligrams, in reality I might be at 1.1 to 1.2 milligrams basically. So yeah, I still sometimes feel hungry, but I'm like, yeah. And I also saw like positive benefits in my life. Like my blood sugar levels were like so much more better. The focus was amazing. I stopped activities like pornography, smoking, being a serial dater and a serial sex addict a long time ago. But it required a lot of motivation for me to, like not do all of that. And while you're in a diet, right, you're constantly chasing for dopamine hits. Like if you got like a bit of you got like high dopamine levels like me, you're like more of that excited sort. You always want to chase something, achieve something, right? When you're in a diet, you're either thinking about food, you're watching like food videos, or you're thinking about like beautiful women, or you're thinking about hitting the gym hard, you're always thinking about something, and your online shopping bill also goes up because buying shit online just makes you feel good. I mean, all of that just went down. My food bill went down. I started prepping my meals at home. I started working on my business seriously. I started consistently producing one YouTube video per week. I'm like, whoa. Right. So this is just with the GLP-1 peptide. So then I was thinking about it, like right now, like when you're deep inside a diet, right? When you're like balls deep inside a diet, when you're extremely lean at a low body fat percentage, image attached on the side or up or on the left, however you want to see it, your libido is going to go away because you basically get cholesterol from food, and that is going to be converted to the sex hormones. This is just in a nutshell, and that's going to be used to synthesize the sex hormones, and that's going to lead to a cascade of other benefits like testosterone, libido, better muscle, better mood, zest for life, and all of that basically. So libido is crashed at the moment because you're low on calories. You're trying to push yourself daily faster cardio. You're doing your steps. You're pushing hard inside the gym, and you're running low on fuel, right? I mean, that's like a given. So I was like, you know what? I love bodybuilding. Right now, I don't have a wife. Let me just have another sip from my ginger tea because I've been talking for a while. That's beautiful. I don't have a wife. I don't have a girlfriend, sadly, right? So for any of the girls who are watching this video or listening to me on a podcast and are attracted by my deep voice, I mean, feel free to reach out because I don't have any of that Tinder shit. But anyways, let's not stay off topic, right? And I'm just in Dubai focusing on my business and focusing on bodybuilding. Let me see, like, the curiosity, right? Yeah, the Pandora's box is finally open. Let's see what happens when I finally go on TRT. I communicated with my coach that I'd like to start off with TRT. But I like to do it like when I phase out of a diet, build my calories up, and go balls deep inside a muscle building phase. And then after that, when I begin to drop body fat, that's when I start TRT so that I get a recomping, which is building muscle and dropping body fat at the same body weight sort of an effect. But my coach suggested, right, not because he's a drug pusher, it's because he cares, and he said that like it makes more sense for you to add it in right now because you're already at a low body fat percentage. You're almost towards the end of your diet, so instead of slowly and steadily going through the painful process of building your food back up, it makes more sense to add it right away so that you get the physiological benefits of simply restoring your hormones that you've lost in the process of an extensive diet. And you also get the muscle building effects and the aromatization, which is the conversion of testosterone via the aromatase enzymes, is going to be negligible because you're already at a low body fat percentage. So by the way, people who are fat, right? The fatter the person, the more the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. So I don't know if you've noticed that fat men exhibit more like feminine traits. You know, they're going to be crying when Titanic is being played. So, right, that happened to me, by the way, once. I was not crying when Titanic was being played, but when I was at such a high body fat percentage once that I felt suicidal and depressed. I'm like, this is not like me. So, yeah, and so he's like, that's when it's the right time for you to start, so that you get the synergistic effect of low testosterone conversion to estrogen. You're also going to get this synergistic effect of replacing the hormones that you've lost. You're also going to get the synergistic effect of building more muscle, and the zest for life is going to return back up. And since you're going to be building more muscle, your tolerance of food is going to go up, so it ties in perfectly with the fact that you're going to push your food up and pull yourself out of a diet. Cool. So I went and did my research. It makes more sense for me to do that. So I immediately booked in my blood work, and it happened as of today morning. So you're probably going to see, like, my mom is the cameraman. She is the OG cameraman. So I immediately booked it in last night because my check-in was yesterday. And by next week, I'm going to be hopping on TRT, right? Now, the way I'm probably going to be doing it is I'm going to be taking daily doses. So let's probably say if I go on something like 150 milligrams of test, I'm going to split that 150 milligrams dose into, and now I don't know the dosages basically because I'm waiting for my blood work. I'm also going to do a sperm analysis as well, right? And because just I want to see like what my sperm count is, what my sperm morphology is, what the motility is. Because TRT for men, the way it works is if you're going to be taking testosterone from outside in the form of an injectable version, your body in a lot of cases shuts down its own testosterone production. That's normal, right? Because why would the body produce testosterone when you're already giving it to it from outside? This usually happens in the 4th or the 6th week mark. So your testicles shrink, right? You get tiny nuts, right? Now, in order for you, and you produce spermatozoa, which is basically sperm, in your testicles, and that most likely might affect fertility for a lot of men. But men, when they come off testosterone and when they go through a post-cycle therapy or when they go through a fertility-based protocol, they get it back in 90% of the cases. If you're on top of your nutrient intake, you're on top of your sleep, which I already am, and it makes more sense to run HCG as well after that. But running testosterone replacement therapy along with HCG is going to ensure that your testicles slightly function. So I'm still 30, not that old. No, I'm 31 basically, not that old. So for me, that's not really a worry. So I'm still contemplating if I should run HCG, which is human chorionic gonadotropin hormone, alongside TRT, or if I'm not attached to the size of my balls. I'm not like a lot of people are not attached to the size of their balls basically. That's cool, you know. So I'm still contemplating for that, but let me start off with TRT first. And yeah, now the benefits of TRT, there's cons and there's pros, right? Cons, if you had a high body fat percentage and you start TRT, please don't fucking do it. If you don't have your shit right, most of the testosterone that you produce is going to be converted to estrogen and you're going to behave like a chick, right? You're going to cry when Titanic is there, you're going to complain about your problems but not do anything about it, like you would want to vent out, right? My mom does that, by the way, right? My ex-girlfriend would also do that. She would just fucking complain about her fucking problems and never really do anything about it. I would, sorry for being sexist in a joking way, right? But you're just going to exhibit more feminine traits. The chance of like gynecomastia, which is man boobs, etc., is going to be higher. The chance of libido, not libido issues, bloating, etc., is going to be higher. But on that's the con. You're going to have a high hematocrit, which is your blood is going to thicken, and that might lead to cardiovascular issues. So it might also lead to, wait, I've just also made a note, right, for this. Just give me a second. Here we go. Yeah, it might also lead to sleep apnea, basically, right? But if you don't have your shit together, you're not lean enough to even begin with, you're not below at least 12% body fat. Now, you don't want to get attached to the number. If you can't see your abs, please don't do this, male or female, right? Or in transgender. Not that I've ever coached a transgender, but it's a fascinating subject as to how their physiology works, because I've never explored that. By exploring, I mean like not the 60-year-old white dude who goes to Thailand with the tranny. But I've never really read or known much about the physiology of a tranny. But anyways, let's not stay off topic, right? So I think, I am in the right place. Now the drawback is I'm on finasteride, which is a 5-alpha. It's a drug for which a lot of people in the hair loss community, they use it as a 5-alpha, like to reduce the 5-alpha reductase enzyme, so that the testosterone that they can produce doesn't really get converted to DHT that much. It blocks the conversion of testosterone to DHT by 70%. So of one pathway, so that makes you retain more hair. That's basically in a nutshell. I've covered it in a different video, right? But what I've done is I've split the lowest possible dose in like daily administrations, and I'm already lean. So yeah, I need to try and test that, but yeah, let's probably keep that in check. And what else? Yeah, but the benefits are the benefits are this: like you got improved muscle mass, mood, cognition, etc., motivation, etc., is going to be higher up. You also are going to see like slightly more fat loss, muscle gain, increased metabolism, and all of those benefits. I'm not taking for the health aspects. Yeah, I mean, better health aspects as well, but from a bodybuilding perspective. But I'm going to start low and pace that for the longest amount of time possible, and slowly and steadily increase the dosage, but still stay within the medical TRT dose or slightly higher, and that basically is it. But it really depends. So I'm going to keep you guys tuned. So yeah, this is just me keeping everyone updated on the journey, and also slowly and steadily the diet's going to end. So I'm going to be phasing off Reta, True Tide. Yeah, stay tuned for my journey. Don't follow this random guy on YouTube who happens to be a fitness coach. So yeah, but before that, I also want to mention like there are pros and cons. What are the pros? Right? The pros are increased bone density, better metabolism, better zest for life, better cognitive function, better muscle gain, slightly increased fat loss, like more motivation, increased bone density. I mean, not that I need all of this, but I mean, like, why not, right? Downsides: it might affect your fertility if you don't know what you're doing. It is going to affect your fertility in most of the cases, right? It's going to lead to sleep apnea. It might lead to sleep apnea. It might lead to estrogenic side effects if you're a fat fuck, right? It might lead to gynecomastia if you're a fat fuck, basically. It might lead to sleep apnea, increased hematocrit, increased blood pressure. Might, okay? Everybody's individual. It really depends on how on top of your health and fitness are you. So yeah, I mean, stay tuned for my journey, and also stay tuned for my journey from week 8 to week 12 of my Gratitude diet. So yeah, people, if you found this useful, feel free to like, share, subscribe, follow me on my journey, and for more educational content. And if you want help around your own health and fitness, you want to transform your body by building bulletproof habits and by educating yourself, all you gotta do is fill in the application form below.